So John 3:16, big deal. This is one of the most quotable parts of the Bible ever. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that we might not perish, but have eternal life. So my question today is, if we could only keep one gospel out of the four, which one would it be? My vote would be for this one, the Gospel of John. And I'd feel guilty. We lose Mark, the first gospel. We lose my favorite parables, the Good Samaritan and the prodigal son, which are only in Luke. A lot will be lost, no doubt. Thankfully, this question is purely hypothetical. But there is wisdom in keeping the Gospel of John. And that's because it was written so late in time. John's gospel was written decades after Jesus' death and resurrection, and he knew that the vast majority of his readers would be people who never met Jesus in the flesh. With the other three gospels, we can't absolutely reach that conclusion, but with John, it is undeniable. When he finally completed the end result around 90 or 100 AD, there were very few people left in the world that were still living who actually met Jesus before his death on the cross. And his gospel is written accordingly. The Gospel of John is basically an introductory text for someone who wants to become a Christian. It's everything they need to be a disciple in a post-ascension world. And that's why the Gospel of John can be so difficult to read sometimes, because he includes so much. There is some heavy stuff in John because it's stuff that he can't skip. There is some information that's kind of, taken for granted in the first three Gospels. But John has to go the distance because he knows that these people won't get the information any other way. Our reading today is a good example of this. John 3:16 is something that every Christian needs to understand down to their bones. This needs to be unshakable. The people who knew Jesus personally learned this through experience. The people John was writing for needed it explained to them after the fact. And you're all in that second category, unless, of course, you're literally 2,000 years old. It's something we just need to hear from time to time in black and white language. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that we might be saved through him. This reading expresses a core belief that we must always hold fast to. Jesus did not come to condemn, but to save. Good day for me to wear pink, the color of joy. The gospel actually is good news. And anyone who tells you otherwise has failed to understand the core concept. In C.S. Lewis's book, Perelandra, which I just finished reading, so it's fresh in my head, he clarifies something along these lines. He says, when Christ died, he did not die for men. He died for each man. If each man had been the only one ever made, he would have done nothing less. Each thing, every person, is the end and the final cause of all of creation. And I think that is a wonderful observation. Christ saves each one of us, as if we are the entirety of creation. And really, that is the only logical conclusion you can come to if you believe that there is infinite beauty and glory within a human life. there is a tremendous liberating truth that has always been there. It was there at Easter. It was there on the cross. It was there at that first Christmas. It was there at the Annunciation, the creation of the cosmos, literally the beginning of time itself. There is salvation. There is an answer to all of this, and that truth is still right there today, right in front of us, and it's really merely our duty to recognize it and to respond to it. The Gospel of John helps us to understand that. It instructs us in the power of faith, hope, and love, now that Christ has ascended to the Father. And as such, we as a civilization will never outgrow our need for this gospel and the good news that it contains.